Dmitry Vasilyevich, regarding the main priority of the Russian army, we heard that it is the Donetsk region. It's important for everyone watching to understand this. And I want to highlight one more point with you. Now that the war has started in the Middle East, it's very important not to forget that the Ukrainian Armed Forces are operating very successfully, not only on their own territory, but also in the temporarily occupied Crimea. Here you go. In Crimea, which was annexed by Russia, temporarily annexed, during an attack, the commander of an S-400 air defense missile division, Kasan Tolgoev, was killed by Ukrainian defense forces. What can you say about the recent period in general? What successes have the Ukrainian armed forces achieved in Crimea? And what are our prospects at the moment, as of the beginning of 2026?
There is ongoing systematic work to deplete the enemy's air and missile defense systems. In other words, the process of eliminating the active protection of strategic military and logistical facilities in the temporarily occupied territory of Crimea is underway. The latest successes of the Ukrainian Defense Forces. These are strikes accordingly on the S-300 and S-400 surface-to-air missile systems, and most importantly on the radar complexes of these surface-to-air missile systems. This is quite remarkable. In other words, the Ukrainian Defense Forces are neutralizing the eyes and ears of the Russian air defense system. Moreover, a combination of both fixed-wing drones that have been integrated with Starlinks, which allow them to effectively bypass the Russian air defense system, and various specialized Ukrainian Striker sets are being used. We are talking about strikes using Ukrainian, both ballistic and accordingly cruise missiles. The main strikes are being carried out on the deployment points of the Russian aerospace forces, specifically targeting the active airfields, Saki, Jankoy, Belbek. Furthermore, the logistics infrastructure of the Russian occupation army is under constant and heavy attack, as well as critical storage points for fuel and lubricants and other related facilities. For power supply. In other words, the groundwork is being laid for an economic and accordingly logistical blockade of temporarily occupied Crimea. NATO classification. This process is officially known as the first stage of preparatory strategic operations for the direct deoccupation of these temporarily uncontrolled Ukrainian territories. This is what is referred to in NATO classification. The tactic of leapfrogging, that is gradually step by step. The defense forces of Ukraine are addressing the issue of neutralizing the military presence on the occupied peninsula, and at the same time are working to block the logistics of the occupation army and accordingly the occupation administration.